Alright guys, so today I actually wanted to go over a little bit more in depth about what the channel is and what it's going to be. So when I was 21, I had my very first seizure, and I kind of went over that in the origin story in one of my previous videos, but just to kind of continue on with that whole story, it's very interesting as far as what changes in your life when you just develop some sort of I guess you could say it's a crippling type of disease or something. It's just a crazy neurological thing that just it messes with you like crazy, and it messes with you in ways that nobody really truly understands unless they also have epilepsy. So it's very interesting, and it's kind of hard to explain to some people. For the most part, my epilepsy, I have grand mal seizures, so I completely black out for them. I don't know how long they're there for. I don't know when it happens, and when I wake up, there's usually people around me. They're usually asking me questions, and I have no idea what the answers are to those questions. I have no idea. It's like my brain just completely fried, and it's slowly rebuilding its circuits back. And it sucks because it took me 7 years to get stable. 7 years. 7 years. That's an insane amount of time. Like, to me, that it feels like that's unacceptable. It shouldn't take that long to actually be stable, like become stable. So it was like when I was 21 to when I was 28, I was just having seizures, and it was more and more frequently. At first it was like, the first one I just had like one, and that, well, it was like 3 on that same day, but it was just like that one. And then I had another one like, after 8 months, and then I had another one after 4 months, and then another one after 2 months, and then 1 month, and then 2 weeks, and then 1 week, and then I was getting them in very quick successions, and I was on medication, so you'd think it would get better or slow down, but it was getting way worse. And it fucking sucks, because that's when it was happening. That's when I was like, I finally bought my first house and everything like that. Waking up one day, well, I mean, not really waking up, but I remember coming out of a seizure, and I was on the ground, and I had tile at that time, or the place where I was at, I had tile on the ground, and so I woke up on the tile. Both of my shoulders were dislocated, and I was living like 20-30 miles away from my closest relative, and there wasn't even like a major hospital that was anywhere close. So it was really difficult. I had to like climb up with my legs, and just in crazy amounts of pain. I don't know how many people have actually dislocated their shoulder or anything like that. I think people over dramatize it a little bit, but it becomes more and more and more painful the longer it's dislocated. And I mean, that probably makes sense, but your arm isn't supposed to be where it is. And then the longer it is in the wrong place, the more it hurts. And it hurts so bad. And when they put your arm back into place, it instantly feels better. And then about 10-20 minutes after that, you get the lingering pain, and you get it for about a month or 2 long after that. So it's pretty rough, and it's really hard to deal with. My grand mal seizures were so severe that both my shoulders were dislocating in and out as I was having my seizures multiple times, over and over and over again, and it just destroyed all the cartilage that was in my shoulders. So finally, I mean, it got to the point where I would dislocate my shoulder when I was putting on a shirt. Like, if I was like, oh shit, I'm late for work, so I get out of bed, I throw on a shirt, and it's like, boom, dislocate my shoulder. I'm like, fuck. So I had to do some weird twist thing, and I could pop it back into place myself, and I was like, all right, I'm good. And then I would go to work. But it got so bad, and that was one of the primary reasons for me to not, or that was my primary excuse for not working out. It's because what was happening is that I would go to the gym, and I would be doing some type of exercise, and my shoulder would dislocate. Luckily, it wasn't anything like a bench press where it could have possibly killed me, which is great, but it sucked. And once you dislocate it, it's like your workout's done. You're done for the day. You don't want to do anything else. That's probably just normal, regardless of what kind of quote unquote major injury you would get in the gym. You're pretty much done at that point. And so what would happen is I would dislocate my shoulder, and then everything after that was just, it's hard to say. It was just, it sucked so bad, because then you would get irritated that you couldn't go to the gym when you want to go to the gym. And so you basically like broke your own habit, because I couldn't go to the gym anymore. I couldn't do any upper body exercises because both my shoulders were so fucked up that any type of upper body movement I tried to do, I would either be very scared that it would dislocate or it would dislocate. I tried to do other things like play tennis, play racquetball. Both did the same exact thing. I dislocated my shoulder playing both tennis and racquetball. So it didn't even have to be weighted exercise. That's just like movement exercises. Again, putting on my shirt, dislocate my shoulder. It's like it sucks. It's the worst thing ever. You're just like you're literally just crippled. You can't do something because of this bullshit. And the thing is that I couldn't get surgery safely, because if I ended up having another seizure, it would completely destroy the surgery, and that would be extremely painful. So finally, when I was 1.5 years, I believe, without a seizure, my doctor gave me the okay to get shoulder surgery on both my shoulders. So I was able to do that, luckily. So now this is the main reason I'm putting back in the channel. It's because I was on so many different kind of medications, so many different ones. I think near the very end, I was on Keppra as well as lamotrigine, and I think there was one more that I was on, but I'm only on lamotrigine. I take one pill in the morning, one pill at night, and that's it. So those are the two things that I take, or those are the two pills I take, one medication. A lot of the other medications I was taking, it was messing with me completely. Like, I can't remember what the name of that was. I don't know why. But the last medication I was on, I actually ended up stop using a year ago. I kind of weaned myself off it. And basically what it was doing is it was making me feel stupid. And that is probably one of the most frustrating things I've ever had to deal with. And because one of my huge things is I'm kind of an asshole. I'm not very nice to a lot of people if they make me mad. Usually I'm like a really nice guy. I like being around people. It's fun, stuff like that. But I'm not afraid to like tell people my feelings. Some people can deal with it really well. Some people can't. Usually if someone pisses me off, I tell them that they're pissing me off. I tell them why. They either tell me something else of the same kind, and we both get over it, and we're great friends. Like, that's usually how it happens. But sometimes people just can't take the criticism. So it's a big thing for me, and stupidity is one of those things that it bothers me a lot. So like when I was working, I got a new job. One of my friends actually got me a job at this place, and they would do training with me. I would learn a bunch of stuff, and then like a week or two later, when I went to try to apply it, I wouldn't remember any of it. Just couldn't remember any of it. It was just gone. It was all gone. And I mean, obviously it was frustrating for me, but it was very frustrating for them. Plus, like, I can't even imagine how my friend felt. Like, he's the one that got me the job. He recommended me for a job, and I'm just sitting there making him look bad. And he knew me from before I even ever had epilepsy. And so he was like looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing, basically. Like, he didn't know that I was in this place that I didn't even really know I was in. It just, the medication I was on, it was making me feel stupid. It was making me, my memory was terrible. I couldn't learn new information. I would slur words. I would forget what I was saying mid-sentences. Sometimes I would, like if I was saying, if I was in the middle of a sentence, I would say the first part of the first word, and then I would say the second part of the next word that's in that sentence, and it would just combine it to make it some weird-ass, wonky fucking word. And it was so annoying. And I couldn't think of certain words for certain things. It was a nightmare. Like, it just made me feel so stupid. And I'm not the smartest person in the world. I'm really not. But I take pride in being one of those people that actively goes out and tries to learn things, tries to experience things, so that when I do meet new people, I can actually talk with them and have a real conversation with them about basically anything, because I try to experience as much as I can and learn as much as I can. However, when I was on this medication, I wasn't learning anything, and my shoulders were constantly dislocating, so I couldn't experience really anything physical. Other side of that, I was always scared that I was going to have a seizure, so it was really difficult for me to do any type of traveling, because I was worried if I would just to go to some other state, I would like go to California, go to Las Vegas, go somewhere where if I was by myself and I had a seizure in my hotel room and I hit my head on something and I would bleed out, like what? It's just that the weird things that you never ever think of, the things that nobody should ever have to think about, all of a sudden I have to think about it all the time. Recently, I was actually supposed to go to a cabin trip. Like, I haven't had a seizure in like over 2 years now, which is great. The thing is that my main trigger is still, alcohol withdrawals, along with other things, like really bad sleep cycles. So if I'm only awake, or if I'm awake for 10 hours and then go to sleep for 2, and then wake for another 3 hours, sleep for 1, and just like do really weird erratic sleep cycles, that will really fuck with my epilepsy as well. And so I was supposed to go to like a cabin trip with a bunch of my other friends, and the whole time I was there, the whole time I was thinking about it, I'm like, I don't feel comfortable, because the cabin has no electricity, it has no, running water, it has no this, that, it has no, a lot of necessities that I feel that I would need, and it's far away from the closest hospital. And without any, like, if something were to happen to me, because we're going to a cabin, it's a bunch of friends, we're all alcoholics, so it's like, come on. It's like I would either have to go and not drink at all and make sure I get 100% good sleep in like the very, very off chance that something terrible happens. But it's like I'm removing the fun out of my life because of this fucking epilepsy. And it's something that I don't like doing. I hate it. I hate it more than anything else. And that's what makes my personal struggle, I think, a lot worse, because I had the quote-unquote normal life. I didn't have my first seizure until I was 21. So, when I was 16, I started traveling, going to like tournaments for video games, and just going everywhere with my friends, just traveling, doing everything, working, trying to experience the world, just trying to live my life. And it all just came crashing down. And it fucking sucks. Luckily at this point, it's not too bad. Finally, since I got off that medication that makes me feel stupid, I no longer feel stupid all the time. I can actually put together sentences. I can learn things, which, thank you for that. Oh my gosh, that is the best part about being off that medication, is that I can actually learn things. I don't feel stupid, I don't sound stupid, and I can actually work. I can have a job and hold down a job and not be scared to lose it because I can't function properly in my head because of the medication that I'm on. So after I was, trying to wean myself off that, what was happening is that in the mornings I would get these myoclonic jerks, which they're basically just spasms that come on. It's when like your body is trying to rest, but then your brain is like sending wake signals to it just to see if it's awake. And so I would get these random spasms like in the morning, and I mean, depending on how good a sleep I got, it would happen, maybe 3 or 4 times in a morning to it happening a lot throughout the day until, 5-6 hours after I've been awake. So it's not good. It was annoying. It's frustrating. Like if I'm trying to have a conversation or anything, like basically in the morning, what I have to do is I have to just sit in my chair and like sit in my computer chair and watch videos until I'm sure that I'm not going to get any myoclonic jerks. Because if I start walking and I have one, then I'll just fall down. And it's annoying as fuck. And it's really painful when you're just like, obviously you're just trying to be normal. You're just trying to live your life. You're trying to brush your teeth and then you fall in the bathroom and bash your elbow on the sink or something. It's not fun and it's fucking annoying. So I started doing more and more and more research. I'm like, there's got to be a better way. A lot of people tell me to, try marijuana because it helps with a lot of forms of epilepsy and stuff like that. People are saying, when you put THC oil on somebody's foot while they're having a seizure, it kind of stops it or slows it down and then eventually stops it a lot sooner than it normally would if you just let it go on. There's a lot of studies that show that. A lot of people are, especially since I lived in Colorado for a year, there was a lot of people talking to me about it. And so I tried marijuana for a little bit. I can't smoke it. The smell is too much. So I tried a patch for a little bit. That was pretty good. There was no hallucinogenics in it, which was nice. There was these other like cough drop things that I would suck on like 3 times a day. But to me, from my experience, what happened is that I felt like whenever I did that, it would make it almost as bad as if I was drinking heavily the day before and then stopped drinking. So, I mean, because alcohol withdrawal is a big thing as part of inducing seizures. So when you're going through alcohol withdrawal, your system is just like going through this crazy metabolic state, and it's just like doing weird ass shit, and your brain does not like that. A lot of stuff, just the contents of what's in the blood, the glycogens and everything, it fucks with you. And so it has a potential chance to induce a seizure. Even people without epilepsy, if you're drinking like day in, day out for 4, 5, 6 days, just like from wake up to pass out, and then you just stop drinking alcohol altogether, you will most likely have a seizure. It's very, very likely that you would. And so for some reason, when I would ingest marijuana, either if I would have the patch or if I would eat something, have an edible, whatever, the next day it would feel like I came off of like a very, very bingy type alcohol thing. Like I wouldn't feel hungover or anything like that. It was just like my seizures were like going in hyperdrive almost, or my epilepsy was going in hyperdrive. It was like my heart would be pounding and I would have a lot of spasms, and it would be a lot more frequent than even if I was, drinking heavily the day before. So it's one of those things to where I can't say that it would help me. I actually experienced the contrary, is that it was actually more detrimental than helpful. I was never able to really find out if that is something that has ever been proven to be a yes or no. Maybe I was using the wrong kind, but I couldn't I couldn't justify trying it any longer, since the medication I'm currently on doesn't seem to have any adverse effects from what I've experienced so far. Ever since I got off that stupid medication, is what I call it. Ever since I got off that, I've been, for the most part, fine outside of the jerks in the morning. And when I would do marijuana, I would get more jerks, therefore not going to do that anymore. Ended up about a couple weeks ago. So the more and more research I did, a huge fan of Joe Rogan's podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience. If you haven't seen it, it's an amazing podcast. Great guests of all types. But he had someone on there called Dr. Dom D'Agostino. And so he's very interesting person. He does a lot of active studies. He worked with NASA's NEMO project, where he was working on basically trying to prevent or help reduce the severity of seizures, not necessarily in people with epilepsy, but with people who would do deep sea diving and get like oxygen poisoning, basically. And so it was very fascinating, and so I was definitely interested, and I tuned in. I was like, okay, what is this guy all about? What did they do to help prevent it? Obviously oxygen's not, I'm not getting oxygen poisoning, so I'm not going deep sea diving or anything, but it was just interesting because he was talking about how in multiple types of epilepsy, whether it's mainly children that he was also studying, children with epilepsy, said changing their diet to a more ketogenic diet, instead of your body running off of carbs and sugars, and basically preventing the insulin spikes and reducing the overall inflammation of your body. Your body would actually, in your brain, would run off fats and stuff like that, and advanced ketones, basically. And so with that, there was some type of science. I'm not a scientist, so I can't really say for sure, but definitely check out Dom D'Agostino. He's a very smart guy. But the way your body reacts to it, after it recycles the cells, after it makes it so, okay, your cells will, obviously use and utilize whatever's there, but if your body no longer needs carbs to run off of as fuel, then it will go to fats. And so if you're on a ketogenic diet, which is primarily fats, your body has to recycle those cells, so your cells aren't trying to run off carbs anymore. They're trying to run off fats, so they have to adjust, they have to evolve, they have to break down, die, rebuild. Once it did that, it took a few weeks, but once I finally got into it, it's like I feel better. I get a lot less myoclonic jerks in the morning, if any at all. So since I started this YouTube channel like 4 days ago or something, not even that long ago, I was really worried about it because the first few nights I was staying up till 4 a.m. Just editing videos, posting it, doing all this stuff, and I was very worried that I was going to be just like completely fucked. I thought I wasn't going to be able to do this channel because, this is supposed to be something to help people who have epilepsy, that they can go down the right path, they can do the diets, they can do intermittent fasting and go to the gym, all this stuff. But if I'm not setting a good example for that, and because a huge trigger for mine was, like I said, the sleep deprivation. So if I wasn't going to set a good example, it would have been a very bad idea for me to actually continue this avenue. But after staying up till 4 a.m. the last 3 or 4 days, I haven't really noticed anything. I've had a few jerks, which is, it's still way better than what it was. But this morning I didn't have any. I think yesterday I didn't have any. 2 days ago I think I had like 4 or 5 in the morning, but it was all within the first 5 or 10 minutes of the day. But I haven't had a single myoclonic jerk after the first 10 or 15 minutes of the day since I started on this ketogenic diet. It's amazing. It's helped so much, and I never would have thought something as stupid, it's stupid as fuck. A diet? Are you kidding me? A diet is going to help me prevent having seizures. So you're saying I spent 8 years on medication that made me feel completely stupid, worthless, and also prevented me, well, gave me a big excuse for not going to the gym, getting fat, getting lazy, not doing anything, being scared to go on vacation. Like, all this shit that happened over the last 7 years, and I could have just been on a ketogenic diet and taken different medication, and I would have been fine. Like, come on. Like, that's bullshit. None of these were options. I went through 6 different doctors before I found the doctor I'm at today. And not a single one of those doctors even mentioned diet. They didn't mention health. They didn't mention gym. They didn't mention anything. They said, oh, you drink? That's why you're having seizures. So that was basically their answer. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, that's a reason, but that's maybe not the reason. And it's one of those things, like, I wasn't even drinking for a while. I just didn't drink for like a year or two, and I was still having seizures. So, I mean, it was definitely not that. So now, I'm not for, but it's, I mean, I still like to drink. I still like to be around with my friends. Although now that I'm on a ketogenic diet, it's kind of hard to drink outside of basically just like a vodka soda. Vodka soda is pretty much the best thing you could do because it doesn't have any carbs in it, or little to none. So definitely still like to have fun, like to go out, like to be with my friends. And the last couple weeks I've been, again, like I said, I've been doing ketogenic diet, doing intermittent fasting. Basically what that is, intermittent fasting, is that I have a 6-hour eating window. So for me, since I work till 10 p.m., I work till 10, I get off at work, I go to the gym, I get back from the gym at like 12 to 12:30, so like midnight-ish, and then I'm now making the video, editing it, uploading it to YouTube, go to bed at like 4 a.m., and then I wake up at like 10 to 12, and then I go to work at 1. So basically between noon and like 6 or 7 o'clock, depending on when I eat my first meal and depending when I go to lunch from work, that is my eating window. So I eat 2 meals a day. In the morning, it's typically a lighter meal. It's usually just like a protein shake with like some yogurt or something like that. Something just to get me some more of the protein that I need. And the dinner is primarily, you have like bacon wrapped asparagus, like a lot of bacon wrapped asparagus. It's amazing. It's like one of my favorite things now. I was never a huge asparagus fan, but I love bacon. And since bacon's really, like, if you get quality bacon from a butcher, you can do some really nice things with bacon. It's amazing. But yeah, you can get like cheaper flank steaks, something with just like high fat but isn't like the greatest quality, so it's super cheap. And then you can just like wrap it in bacon to make it even. You can wrap almost anything in bacon, it makes it taste better. People say saturated fats are bad, all this other cholesterol is bad. They have no fucking idea what they're talking about. The thing is that a lot of that stuff is bad if you're eating it with other bad things. But if you're not taking in any concentrated carbs, anything that's really high on the glycemic index level, I think is what it's called, then you're not really in that bad of a position. It's not going to spike your insulin. You're not going to get that crazy sugar high. It's not going to give you the inflammatory response. So you can starve those cancer cells, the heart disease issues, a lot of other. There's so many benefits to it, and so much science has been proven for it. I'll probably go down those in some future videos, but this was just going to be like a giant video of what exactly I'm about. I know because my channel name is called Epileptic Loser. It's primarily revolved around me being an epileptic and me losing fat. Probably doesn't come across that way, but that's really what it is and what it's kind of revolved around. And my first couple videos, my first like workout vlog and stuff, didn't really target any of that. It really didn't hit those points to where, I am an epileptic, I'm trying to lose fat, this is the diet, it's helping me, blah blah blah. So this is just kind of a vlog that is targeted towards those people who may actually need help. Because again, I've done so much research. So anything that I will end up putting in videos and stuff, I will link to all the research articles, because that is one of the most frustrating things that I have ever come encountered with. So on YouTube or wherever, you see these people say, okay, this is good for you because of this, this, and this, and this, and this. And I was like, that sounds awesome. That sounds smart. Where's your proof? And they're just like, oh, that's just what it does. It's like common knowledge. And I'm like, well, that's not really what common knowledge is. I was like, you still have to have proof for that to initially be knowledge. Cause I'm like, just because it's an opinion doesn't make it knowledge. And if it's a widely accepted opinion, it still doesn't make it knowledge. So, because you'll see a lot of YouTubers out there, they'll rattle on all the science, the scientific terms and shit, but they have zero evidence, zero studies done, nothing is done, and they have a good following, but it's like, some of it is incorrect, and maybe not all of it, because a lot of it is correct, some of it maybe just not be fully proven yet, but a lot of it is just, it's misinformation. And once you read the studies and once you analyze the studies properly, that's when you find that's what you find, what you have to do in order to be like that person that you wanted to be. A lot of people are on like crash diets and all this bullshit, and you've heard things forever, people saying diets suck, they don't work because of blah 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 blah. But it's not the point. The point is, with people with epilepsy, you need to concentrate more on your diet. Diet is very important. Low intake of carbs, high intake of fats. Ketogenic diet is very beneficial because when your body is using ketones, or when your brain is using ketones instead of the insulin spikes and the sugars, that for some reason it just makes you feel better. I don't get that weird fogginess or the weird like dizziness when I'm about to have a seizure. People with epilepsy know what I'm talking about. You know when you're like kind of about to have a seizure. You know the feeling. You're like, okay, something's fucking crazy gonna happen. I need to probably sit down for a minute. You know what I'm talking about. And I don't ever get that feeling anymore. Ever. I never get that feeling. Again, like I said, I've gotten the myoclonic jerks every once in a while in the mornings now, but it's very limited, almost completely eliminated, which I will obviously be documenting everything in this vlog. This vlog is all about my progress, all about where I started, where I ended, and yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see where I start and where I end. And I'll probably have like a running tally on the corner of my videos on how many myoclonic jerks I have. That's actually a really good idea. Okay, starting from this vlog right here, I'm going to have a little counter. The bottom, wherever that is, the bottom, somewhere here, the bottom of my video, I'm going to have a counter. Every time I have a little myoclonic jerk, I'm going to tally it and it's going to go up. So you'll be able to see on a daily basis how many jerks I have on any given day. I will also show my nutrition facts and all the other stuff that I've been eating. I'll go over a lot of that stuff in a further video as well, but that will most likely be down the line, maybe next week sometime. But yeah, it just kind of depends on if you guys, for the workout vlogs, if you actually want the nutrition within those workout vlogs, or if you want the workout vlogs to be completely isolated from everything else. I still do really like the story time series. I think that could be a very beneficial series for a lot of people, just to kind of help them cheer up and stuff like that. But overall, I mean, it fucking sucks living with epilepsy. It is, I mean, it's the worst experience of my life. And I didn't even have it for that long. I've had epilepsy for 9 years. I mean, it's embarrassing there's so many things that happen. It's just really, really embarrassing. And I don't know, I'm really excited to do the ketogenic diet, intermittent fasting, getting back to the gym. Now that I haven't had a seizure in a couple years, I was able to get surgery. It's like I'm back to almost feeling like a productive person of society. Like I'm almost there. But I'm still afraid to like go on those road trips, go places by myself that are isolated. Because in the off chance if I do have a seizure, it's like that thing that's always in the back of my mind. And having that there, it scares me, and that's what I don't like. I don't like being scared. I don't like that feeling. I mean, I love horror movies, but that's a little different, I think. I don't like the feeling of, I guess, maybe dying alone would be an accurate thing. I think that's a little weird, maybe. Maybe that's a little bit too deep. Not sure. Not really sure exactly what the fear is per se. Just being somewhere where you're completely helpless, you can't even change anything, and you can't prevent what's happening to you. There's nothing, and it's insane. It's just insane. It's crazy how something that's so widely known in existence, like as far as diseases, I don't even know if it's considered a disease or not. I should probably like figure it out. but there isn't any medication that prevents seizures. There's things that lessens the intensity and stuff like that, but there's nothing that actually prevents seizures. And that's the part. There's like anticonvulsant medication. That's basically what it is. It's not like anti-epilepsy or anti-seizure medication. It is anti-convulsant medication. And it's just like, it's not. And so many people have seizures. Again, it's not just epileptics. It's kids, like newborn kids from like, age 0 to 5 or something. That a lot of them have seizures just randomly or for specific reasons. But there's not. A lot of kids have epilepsy and they grow out of it. And then in my case, I have juvenile myoclonic epilepsy where I developed it as I went through puberty. And it's supposed to go away in my mid-30s. Whenever the fuck that decides to happen, that'd be great. Got another 5 years till I'm at the midway, so we'll see. But there's like no real knowledge into it, and that's why I'm so excited to try this, because there's so much good research already into it. And the thing is there's also so many neurologists that are like against it. They call it like a fad diet with no science backing up on it, but then you show them the results and then they don't really know how to react. And so I don't know if that's just like all neurologists are like that, but like I said, I had to go through six neurologists before I found one that was actually like he was still passionate, I guess you could say. Somebody that actually cared about his patients, cared about the field he was in, because he specializes in epileptic patients. So it's like, okay, you should have knowledge on the current studies, blah 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 blah. Like, you should have some knowledge into what else is going on in your industry, and most of them have no fucking idea whatsoever. And that was also very frustrating. And I wasn't going to just like random doctors. I was going online. I was looking for the best doctors in the state. And again, I went to 6 of them. 6 of the top 10 were total garbage. And they were horrible people. I think only one of them that I went to that wasn't a horrible person. He just ended up being like not as intelligent as I think he should have been, and it just worried me more than anything else. But the other 5 that I was going to were they're the biggest fucking douchebags, and they were so pompous, and they thought they knew everything without continuously doing research. Like, they were just practicing, but they weren't reading anything. They weren't investigating anything. They weren't helping out with research projects, sleep studies. Like, they weren't doing anything. They were literally just practicing doctors. And So I stayed away from them too. And so now I'm going to a new doctor, and he's great. I mean, he's nice, he's funny. Whenever if I find something online, I'll send it to him, and he'll actually read through it, and he will give me his notes based on what he sees that could be different in my case. Or what he'll do is he'll be like, oh, that's interesting, and then he'll go and send an email to that researcher or that college, whatever it is, whoever's doing the studies. Like, he'll send emails to them and see if he can help, or if I can join in on a study, or if they can use me as research. Because as of right now, I'm at the point where I'm just going to document all my shit. So my food, my workout, and that's pretty much what I'm doing. And the only other thing I don't want to show my I have lamotrigine. That's all you get. Lamotrigine. I don't even, you probably still can even see it. Lamotrigine. I don't know. Whatever. So lamotrigine is the only medication I'm on, and it is 100 milligrams twice a day, I think. Yeah, 100 milligram tablets twice a day. One at morning, one at night. That is it. Outside of that, I'm literally just doing a ketogenic diet. Right now, I am at like 65% fat. Most likely going to be bumping that up to 70%. And then once I get to 70% fat, I'll do 25% protein and 5% carbs. That will be my primary diet, which I'll show you. But at the same time, I'm also going to the gym, doing weightlifting. Right now, gonna try to just lose the fat, try to get down to like 170-ish. So lose another like 30 pounds, 25, 30 pounds. And then I'm gonna try to build up muscle using the same exact diet. And get up to, back up to 200, which is where I am now, but actually be there in muscle and not in fat. So that's basically my story. That's the struggle that I have. I know I probably rambled on for way longer than I should have, but it's a story that needs to be told. People need to hear about it. You're not alone. And I actually looked on YouTube for a video that was just called Living with Epilepsy, and I saw like 4 videos. And there was like almost nobody talks about it. And then you tell people that, you have a seizure or you are an epileptic, and they're like, oh yeah, my cousin's one, or yeah, my brother has seizures. And like you meet all these people, and they know a ton of people that have. Go talk to 5 of your friends. I guarantee you at least one of them knows somebody in their immediate family that has epilepsy. That's how common it is, and how like nobody talks about it. It's crazy. And it's one of those things that people have just accepted. They're like, there's nothing we can do about it. We'll hope, but we can't fix it. Derp, 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 derp. And that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm kind of pissed off about it, so I'm going to try to follow these studies as far as just strictly ketogenic diet, go to the gym, lose the weight, and yeah, we're going to see how it is. So thanks, guys. Thanks again for listening. It's Fat Epileptic Loser here. Peace. Oh. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe as always. And of course, I do have Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. All of it is under Epileptic Loser. So stay tuned. I'll be vlogging everything. You'll see it all. It comes out. But let me know in the comments section below if you do have any special requests, or if you have a story that you want to share, because I'm always interested to hear about it. All right. Peace.